Hello and welcome back to Holiday Greek. Today we're talking about football. And we're talking about football because one of our readers said that he likes football, he lives in Greece, he would like to go and talk about football matches with his friends, but he doesn't have the vocabulary. And so we are always happy to help. And today, therefore, we will learn about football. Now, the problem is I have no idea about football. I'm not watching football. I'm not a football fan. So I got all the words for this lesson from various sources across the internet. I hope that I got it right. I try to cross-check them. So I think that what I'm saying is correct. But I just want to warn you that this is not my expertise, right? In this case. Okay, so we have a short story. I will first read you the story in whole and then I will explain to you what's happening. So let's go. It's a story about football. Ο φίλος μου, ο Νίκος, είναι τρελός με το ποδόσφαιρο. Την περασμένη Κυριακή λοιπόν με πήγε σε μια καφετέρια γεμάτη κόσμο για να δούμε τον μεγάλο αγώνα. Η ομάδα μας έπαιζε εκτός έδρας και το σκορ στο πρώτο ημίχρονο ήταν 1-0 εναντίον μας. Η ατμόσφαιρα ήταν βαριά. Ο Νίκος φώναζε στην τηλεόραση «Άμυνα ρε παιδιά, ο τερματοφύλακας κοιμάται». Ένας άλλος δίπλα μας φώναξε «Αυτό ήταν καθαρό φάουλ, κάρτα». Εγώ δεν καταλάβαινα πολλά, απλώς έβλεπα την μπάλα να πηγαίνει πάνω κάτω στο γήπεδο και ήλπιζα να μην φάμε και άλλο γκολ. Στο δεύτερο ημίχρονο κάτι άλλαξε. Η ομάδα μας άρχισε να παίζει στην επίθεση. Κάναμε ευκαιρίες. Σε μία φάση ο επιθετικός μας έκανε ένα απίστευτο σουτ από μακριά, αλλά η μπάλα χτύπησε στο δοκάρι. Όλη η καφετέρια φώναξε «Αχ». Εγώ άρχισα να μπαίνω στο κλίμα. Άρχιζα να φωνάζω και εγώ «Πάμε ομάδα». Όταν ένας παίκτης των αντιπάλων έκανε ένα σκληρό μαρκάρισμα, φώναξα με όλη τη δύναμη όπως ο Νίκος «Βγάλ' τον έξω ρε διαιτητή». Κερδίσαμε ένα κόρνερ στα τελευταία λεπτά. Η αγωνία ήταν στο κόκκινο και τότε έγινε το θαύμα. Μετά την σέντρα, ένας παίκτης μας πήρε την κεφαλιά και γκολ ισοφάριση στο 92ο λεπτό. Πανικός. Άρχισα να πανηγυρίζω σαν τρελός, να χτυπάω τα χέρια μου στο τραπέζι και να αγκαλιάζω τον Νίκο. Τα καταφέραμε. Τι ματσάρα. Είμαστε οι καλύτεροι. Ο Νίκος όμως με κοιτούσε παράξενα. Δεν χαμογελούσε καθόλου. Τον ρωτάω, τι έχεις, δεν χαίρεσαι που ισοφαρίσαμε? Και τότε ο Νίκος ήρεμα μου δείχνει μία άλλη, μικρότερη τηλεόραση στη γωνία της καφετέριας. Ο δικός μας αγώνας είναι σε εκείνη την τηλεόραση, μου λέει. Μόλις χάσαμε 1-0. Εσύ τόση ώρα έβλεπες το Ιταλικό πρωτάθλημα. Now, I hope you understood the story. This is something that could have happened to me. Let's go through it sentence by sentence. I will not explain all the grammar points, all the finer points in this case, because we want to concentrate on the football vocabulary, right? So, ο φίλος μου, ο Νίκος, my friend, Νίκος, είναι τρελός με το ποδόσφαιρο. He is crazy about football. Την περασμένη Κυριακή, λοιπόν, last Sunday, λοιπόν, last Sunday, με πήγε σε μία καφετέρια, he brought me σε μία καφετέρια, to a coffee shop, γεμάτη κόσμο, full of people, για να δούμε, so that we can see, τον μεγάλο αγώνα, the great game. Αγώνας is the game, the sports event, which is similar with agony, right? It comes from there, means the fight, the struggle. Η ομάδα μας, our team, έπαιζε εκτός έδρας. Εκτός έδρας means outside of their home base. Έδρα is the base, the place where you are located normally, where your headquarters are. Can also say it for headquarters of a company. So they're playing outside of their base. Και το score and the score στο πρώτο ημίχρονο, in the first half of the game, and this comes from imi, which is a prefix, means half, and chronos means time. Ημίχρονο is the half time. And it's also used in a few other words. There's imiorophos, for example. If you are in Greece and you take the elevator in a building, you often have in older buildings, especially imiorophos, which is the half of the first floor. It's halfway to the first floor. So for some reason, they didn't call the first floor. They called it imiorophos, half first floor. And then the first floor would in reality be, the second. So, ημίχρονο, half time, ήταν 1-0 εναντίον μας. Was 1-0 εναντίον, against us. Η ατμόσφαιρα ήταν βαριά. The atmosphere was heavy. The atmosphere in this case means the feeling among the people, the room, the emotion in the room was heavy. Ο Νίκος φώναζε στην τηλεόραση. Nikos shouted at the TV. Άμυνα, ρε παιδιά. Defense. You children. Now, this you children, the ρε παιδιά, is something very typical of Greece, of Greek. The παιδιά does not literally mean children here. It means young men. It means you people, you young men. And it is often the case that παιδιά is used in this sense for young men. For example, you know probably the song of Melina Mercouri and the movie Τα παιδιά του Πειραιά, the children of Piraeus. But it's not the children, these sailors. They are grown-up men, young men. So παιδί is a kind of positive way of talking about young, particularly strong, athletic men, because they have this youthfulness to them, right? The strength of youth. And so you would call them παιδιά. And this παιδιά does not, in this context, it does not even remind you of children. You think of it as young men, right, when you are Greek. But it is also a kind of very personal thing to say, right? So you imply that you have some emotional attachment to these people, that you are fond of them. So you would not say to a stranger, παιδί, even if he is a very, good-looking young man. It would be strange to do it to a stranger, right? To use this word on them. You could use it in the street if somebody asks you for the way and you don't know the way, but you see a group of young people standing. You could say, ask the παιδιά down there. Or when you want to order from a shop and you ask for the phone number in order to call them and order something, somebody might say, yes, here is the phone number, but the παιδιά are not there yet. Because I know they're sleeping late, the shop opens later. Τα παιδιά in this case means the people in this shop. This is pretty common to talk of people in a shop as παιδιά. So in this case, άμυνα means defense, παιδιά, you children, and the re is very difficult to explain. It means something like you children, but it is a bad word. It is diminishing the other party. It is borderline offensive. It is not really offensive because it's so common. You say it when you want to be either very familiar or you want to somehow mark the action of these other people as somehow not good. They did something goofy, they did something bad, they did something not very bad, but something that is not of a high standard as expected, right? So you would often use it with another bad word that diminishes the other person. So you would say, you stupid person, revlaka, idiot. I don't want to say all the good words now in Greek to teach you, the vocabulary that you shouldn't know. But so re something bad, right? So if you say it with παιδιά, it's not as bad because παιδιά itself is not bad, but it is somehow, it gives a little bit of an edge to your saying there. You're not saying only look at your defense, young man. You say, look at your defense, you stupid young man. You're doing something wrong there, right? Repetya. So this re is something that probably you should avoid saying as a foreigner if you don't know exactly in which context to use it and how to use it without being actually offensive. So towards a stranger, for example, you would not generally say it, but in football, because the manners are a little rough on the football pitch anyway, it is okay to insult, the players in a game by saying re, but you wouldn't say it, let's say, to your boss or to someone you just met, or even to a waiter in a restaurant, right? This would be very offensive to call the waiter re, because it would mean that you are emphasizing, he's just a waiter, he's just nobody, he's worthless. While you are, the one who is able to use this language against them. So this would not be a thing to do. If you are good friends with someone, you can say it in a friendly way. Like you would perhaps in English also, if a very good friend of yours, you can greet them and say, what are you doing today, you sucker, right? It wouldn't be offensive because, in this case, your friend knows that this is supposed to be endearing, right? And so you could use the re for a good friend to say, tikanis re, file. What are you doing, you friend? So the re is a little dangerous to use actively. You should be able to understand it when somebody uses it for you. It can be offensive if the other person doesn't know you. It can be friendly if the other person is your friend. Or if you are a public person, like a football player, then you have to live with the fact that people are going to throw this at you all the time. This is part of the game. Okay. Defense. You people, you children. O termatophylakas kimate. Termatophylakas, terma, is the end, is also the goal. It's also the ending in time. So when something ends, you say termatizi. It is ending, a movie or a game or something. In this case, in football, it's the goal because the goal is the end of the whole game. Phylakas is the guard. So the goal guard is the person who is guarding the goal keeper, I think it's called in English, right? So, o termatophylakas, the goalkeeper, kimate, he is sleeping. Ένας άλλος δίπλα μας φώναξε, another one beside us called or shouted, αυτό ήταν καθαρό foul. This was a clear foul. And καθαρό, clear, is actually the same word, right? Καθαρό means clean. So this was a clean foul. This was a clear foul. Καθαρό. So you can use καθαρό in Greek also in this sense. Something is clear to see. Something is obvious. Something is not disputed. Carta. Carta, of course, is the card. In football, they have these, red and yellow cards or something. And when they show you the card, then it's bad. It means that you have done something wrong and you get some bad points, right? Bad karma. I'm not sure how this works now with the rules, but if you are a football fan, you surely know what these cards are exactly doing. Εγώ δεν καταλάβαινα πολλά. I did not understand much. So this is something I can identify with in this text. Απλώς, only, simply. Απλά means simply. Something is simple, something is απλό. Απλώς means simply. It's the adverb, right? Απλώς έβλεπα, I simply saw, Tin bala, the ball, na pigeni, going, πάνω κάτω. Up and down means all around the place. Στο γήπεδο, το γήπεδο is the football pitch, the grounds, the game area, right? Στο γήπεδο, this is very common. Παιδό, the whole παιδό thing, if it's written with epsilon, is related to the feet. So podi is the foot, and pedho as a prefix is related to feet often. So you have in English, you have the pedestrian, right, which comes from there. The pedestrian is somebody who walks on his feet rather than taking a car. And yi comes from yi, which means the earth or the soil or the ground. So it's the ground under the feet, right, is the yipedo, literally. But it is only used for sports venues. It's not, a yipedo is not used otherwise. So you cannot say, I'm walking now to the forest where there's a yipedo. This is not true. So a yipedo is always a somewhat organized sports arena, mostly for things like football. Que Elpida, and I was hoping, Elpida is the hope, and it's also the name of a woman's name, right? Many women are called Elpida in Greek. Is a very nice name for women because it is hope, means hope. And so, Elpida, I hoped, na min fame ki άλλο gol, that we will not eat another goal. And this is an expression typical for football. Goals, you are eating. If you are the losing party, you're eating a goal in the sense of eat that, right? I throw this goal of you and you are eating it. You have to swallow it, right? We also say this in English sometimes. I have to swallow something bad. I have to eat it. I have to, live with it. So we are eating a goal means that we have to accept it happening to us. And this is very, very common, is the primary verb you would use for a goal, right? They are eating a goal, we are eating a goal. Τρώμε ένα goal. Στο δεύτερο ημίχρονο κάτι άλλαξε. In the second half of the game, ημίχρονο κάτι άλλαξε, something changed. Η ομάδα μας άρχισε να παίζει στην επίθεση. Our group, our team, started, άρχισε να παίζει, to play, στην επίθεση. And επίθεση is the attack. And it's an attack in every sense, not only in football. You can, in a war, you can attack, make an επίθεση in a battle. Or you can even attack someone verbally, in the office when you're quarreling with someone, you attack them. It's also an επίθεση. So, επίθεση is the attack in a general sense. It can be an attack literally, with weapons. It can be a metaphorical attack with words. Κάναμε ευκαιρίες. We made ευκαιρίες. And the ευκαιρία is the opportunity. So, comes from keros, time, and F means good. The good time, the opportunity is the good time to do something. And we made good times. We made opportunities. And this means we had occasions where we were ahead, where we were winning, where we had opportunities to win, right? Where there was some opening, where the ball was going and our players were there and the enemies were not there. So it's an ευκαιρία, right? It's an opportunity to do something, to score some points. And ευκαιρία is also much more broadly used for all sorts of opportunities, particularly in shopping. It means the prices are down because this is now, the prices are reduced. This is a sale where you get lots of ευκαιρίες, you get lots of good deals, right? In this case, good deals, opportunities to buy something for cheap. So ευκαιρία also, you will find it plastered all over the shops when they've reduced prices. They would say ευκαιρία, you can buy this dress, for only $50. Σε μία φάση, in one phase of the game. Phase is the phase. And it's much more common than it is in English. So in English, you wouldn't say as a normal person, in a game, in one phase of the game. You would say at some point, right? In Greek, for some point, you would say μία φάση. It's a very common way to express it. So at some point, σε μία φάση, ο επιθετικός μας, our attacker, our attacking player, έκανε ένα απίστευτο shoot, made a shoot, which is a shoot, right? He shot the ball, he kicked it, and it was apistifto. Apistifto is the a, which is this depriving a. We talked about it in the previous video. Means the next thing is not the case. And the next thing is pistevo. Pistevo means to believe. So apistifto is unbelievable. He made an unbelievable shoot apomakria, from far away. Αλλά η μπάλα χτύπησε το δοκάρι. But, αλλά η μπάλα, the ball, χτύπησε, hit the δοκάρι. Δοκάρι is generally a piece of wood, a straight piece of wood that you use for building. So you have δοκάρι in your home to hold up the roof and so on. And in football specifically, it means the wooden goal post, right? So in this case, the ball hit the goal post. Όλη η cafeteria φώναξε, ach, the whole coffee shop shouted, ach, which is an expression of pain, of loss, right? Because this didn't go well. Εγώ άρχισα να μπαίνω στο κλίμα. I started to go into the κλίμα. Klima means generally climate. It means the weather, but it also can mean, again, the atmosphere of a place, how it feels to be somewhere. Άρχισα να μπαίνω στο κλίμα. I started to get used to the atmosphere. I started to enjoy it. I started to be part of it. Άρχισα να φωνάζω και εγώ. I started to shout. Και εγώ. Me too. I too started to shout. Πάμε, ομάδα. Let's go. Πάμε means let's go. You can say it in all sorts of situations, you know. Let's go to the beach. Πάμε στη θάλασσα. Let's go to the sea. Let's go to the city. Πάμε στην πόλη. Πάμε να ψωνίσουμε. Let's go shopping. Πάμε να φάμε. Let's go eat. Πάμε is very common, right? Πάμε, ομάδα. Group, or in this case, team. Let's go, team. So it's, a shout that means, let's go. Let's proceed. Let's win. Όταν ένας παίκτης των αντιπάλων έκανε ένα σκληρό μαρκάρισμα. Όταν, when, ένας παίκτης, one player, των αντιπάλων. Αντίπαλος is the opponent, the other group, the enemies, right? But you don't call them enemies really, because in sports, they're not your enemies. We want to be sporty. So you wouldn't call them εχθρός, which means enemy. You would call them antipalos, the opponent team. So when a player from the opponent έκανε ένα σκληρό, created one hard markarisma, tackle, marking. A markarisma can refer to two distinct actions in football. This is the explanation I found. First, the physical act of challenging an opponent to take the ball from them, a tackle, or the defensive tactic of staying close to an opponent to prevent them from receiving the ball, known as marking. So this, again, sorry if this is all wrong. I'm not a football person, but this is what I found as an explanation for that. Όταν ένας παίκτης των αντιπάλων έκανε ένα σκληρό μαρκάρισμα, φώναξα με όλη μου τη δύναμη. I shouted with all my might, with all my force, with all my power. Δύναμη is the power, the force. Όπως ο Νίκος, like Nikos did, βγάλ τον έξω, ρε διαιτητή. Send him out. Βγάλ τον έξω. Βγάζω means to take something away, to take something out. And βγάλε is the imperative form, the command, βγάλε κάτι, βγάλε τον, him, take him out, έξω. Ρε, and now the re again, because you're talking to the dietitis, is the referee, is the person who is, keeping order in the game. And so, βγάλ τον έξω, ρε, διαιτητή, take him out, you guy, referee. Right, so there is again this slightly insulting but common in sports way of addressing somebody else. And of course, you would address the referee in this slightly insulting way, because that's the whole point, right? The referees are always despised by everyone. So send him out, you referee. Κερδίσαμε ένα corner στα τελευταία λεπτά. We won a corner in the last minutes. The corner is a corner kick, right? Where they put the ball in from a corner. Something which is something good for you, right? If you win the corner. So again, don't ask me about the football details, but this is something that you often find in descriptions of games, right? Κερδίσαμε ένα corner στα τελευταία λεπτά. We won a corner in the last minutes. Η αγωνία ήταν στο κόκκινο. Αγωνία. Agony, literally, but it's not here agony. It is more suspense, right? The suspense. So agonia is used in a broader sense in Greek than it is agony in English. So agony in English is something related to strong pain, right? This is not the case in Greek. Agonia is more suspense, expectation. I cannot bear it, because it's so suspenseful. I'm sitting at the edge of my seat, right? This is agonia. So, η αγωνία ήταν στο κόκκινο. The agony, the suspense was in the red. And this στο κόκκινο is a very common expression, because when you have a dial, like in your car, when you have how fast the engine is going and so on, then, or the temperatures, then you have a green area and they have a red area, right? And the red area is where the danger is. It's too high, right? So the temperature is in the red, or my car's engine is in the red, or my fuel is in the red, right? There I don't have enough. So here the agony is in the red. The suspense is in the red. It's the maximum it can reach. Και τότε έγινε το θαύμα. And then the θαύμα happened. Θαύμα is the miracle. And again, it's the miracle in every sense. It's the miracle in religion. The Bible is full of thavmata, which means miracles from God. And in this case, it's a miracle metaphorically, right? Because in the game, something unexpected happens. So like in English, when you say miracle, it can be used widely in all sorts of ways. Suddenly your child, wants to eat broccoli. That's a miracle, right? In a thavma. Μετά την σέντρα, after the center kick, ένας παίκτης μας πήρε την κεφαλιά, a player of us took the head shot, κεφαλιά. Κεφάλι is the head, and when you shoot the ball with your head, like they do in football, right, this is allowed, then this is a κεφαλιά. Και goal. The ball went into the goal. Isopharisi. Isopharisi comes from iso, and the pharisee must come from to fare in English, right? To fare equally, to have equal worth or equal chances or equal results, right? Isopharisi, an equality of points, right? So you have made up your loss, because previously we were losing by 1 point, and now we have an isopharisi, we have equal points. Στο 92ο λεπτό, in the 92nd minute. Panikos, panic. And the panic here is a positive panic, again, a little different from the use in English. In English, you would say panic normally is a negative thing. In Greek, panikos can be used in a positive sense, only positive. It doesn't have anything panicky about it. It just means it was so good that everybody was in a total state of, shouting and screaming out of happiness. So, panic in a positive sense. Άρχισα να πανηγυρίζω σαν τρελός. I started, άρχισα, να πανηγυρίζω. Panegyri is often used for religious events where you have something to be celebrated, a religious celebration. And then outside the church would be a place where traditionally there would be some booths and people selling food, or perhaps, selling some religious things, icons, or playing music or doing other things, right? So a religious celebration in the sense of a small village celebration, right? Where a village comes together at Easter to celebrate, Easter. So it doesn't have this very strong religious feeling. It's not like sitting quietly in the church. It's more a kind of a fair, a religiously motivated fair, or a religiously motivated celebration outside of the church, right? And this panegyri was very common in the past, like in all villages, also in other countries, in England and so on. You would have religious celebrations at particular feasts, right? Where outside the church would be almost like a market where people go to see things or to be entertained. And this is a panegyri. And panegyrizo is the verb from this, and it means just to celebrate very visibly, very animatedly. So if you're just, you won some award and now you're sitting at home and drinking a coffee and enjoying the feeling, this is not panegyrizo. It has to be much more expressive. Panegyrizo is to jump around, to dance on the table, to do these kinds of things. And especially if you do it like him, panegyrizo santerelos, like crazy. So I started to celebrate, to dance and to jump around like crazy. Να χτυπάω τα χέρια μου στο τραπέζι, to hit my hands on the table, to beat the table with my fists. Και να αγκαλιάζω τον Νίκο. Αγκαλιά is the embrace. Αγκαλιάζω is the verb to embrace Nikos, my friend. Τα καταφέραμε. We made it. We achieved it. Literally, καταφέρνω is to achieve something, but in this case it means we made it. We managed. Τη ματσάρα. This is funny. It is, of course, comes from English, match. You see, most of these Greek football words are actually English because the English obviously introduced the game to Greece. And so match and goal and ball and score and center, all these words are English words that are just used in a Greek sentence is if they were Greek words, but they are in reality loan words from English. And the same with matsara, it comes from mats, tomats, and this is a bad Greek pronunciation of match, right? So it's a match, and this ara is postfix to a word, is an ending you can add to things when they are very great, either great physically, big, or great in the sense of being, good. And so you can say, in other contexts too, you can say somebody has a big car, very impressive car. Τι αυτοκινητάρα είναι αυτό? What great car is this? Or somebody has a big villa, a big house. Τι σπιτάρα είναι αυτό? So the ara is always exaggeratedly big, embarrassingly big. And so in this case, τι ματσάρα, what an embarrassingly great match was this. Είμαστε οι καλύτεροι. We are the best. Ο Νίκος όμως με κοιτούσε παράξενα. But όμως, ο Νίκος με κοιτούσε, looked at me, was looking at me, παράξενα, strangely. Παράξενο means always strange. Comes from xenos and para. Xenos is the foreigner. Para means beside. So it's like being beside a foreigner, feeling strange. And it's similar in English, right? Strange and stranger are related, right? The stranger is the foreigner because he is strange in his ways, right? So με κοιτούσε παράξενα. Δεν χαμογελούσε καθόλου. He was not smiling. Χαμογελούσε, smiling, καθόλου. At all. And again, καθόλου is exactly like English at all, because όλο means all, obviously, and κατά means at. It also means down, like in καταστροφή, we had it last time, but it can also mean at. Κατά όλου, at all, καθόλου. Τον ρωτάω, I ask him, τι έχεις? What do you have? What is with you? Δεν χαίρεσαι, are you not happy? Που ισοφαρίσαμε, that we are now equal in points. As I said before, right, isofarizo is make the score even, to equalize the score. Are you not happy that we are now equal? Και τότε ο Νίκος, and then Nikos, ήρεμα, quietly, μου δείχνει μια άλλη, shows to me another, μικρότερη, smaller, τηλεόραση, TV, στην γωνία της cafeterias, in the corner of the coffee shop. He shows me another smaller TV in the corner of the coffee shop. Ο δικός μας αγώνας, our sports event, our fight, our game, είναι σε εκείνη την τηλεόραση, μου λέει. Is taking place on that TV, he told me. Μόλις χάσαμε 1-0. We just lost 1-0. Εσύ, you, τόση ώρα, so long time, έβλεπες, was looking at το Ιταλικό πρωτάθλημα, the Italian League. So obviously the coffee shop had two TV screens, a big and a small one. I was looking at the big one where the Italian game was playing, and Nikos and the other Greeks were looking at the Greek game, which was on the small TV in the corner, and so I was cheering the wrong team. Okay, so this was the story for today. I hope you had fun with this. You learned something. Sorry if you are not into football. I can understand your pain because I'm also not. But it is not bad to learn specific vocabulary about Greek, right? Especially something so popular as football. And football is in Greece really very, very popular. So when these teams are playing, it's always a great event. People sitting in front of TVs, people sitting in tavernas watching it, people going to stadiums. It's always a big thing. So football is one of the great things in Greece, besides, smoking and politics and playing the tavli. So there are a few, a handful of things that are very typical of Greece, and football is one of them. So I think it's worth it. I will put all the vocabulary in the Substack where I will put the address here now. You can see it. Go there. And you can find all the vocabulary for all these lessons on the Substack. And you will also find the full text of this lesson and the full translation. So thank you again, and see you next time. Bye-bye.